Olá, Eduardo, eu sou o Celso Zucatelli da TV Record, conversando com vocês direto de Nova Iorque, nos Estados Unidos. Felizmente a tecnologia nos permite isso. Bom, eu estou aqui ao lado de Jack Myers, que estaria aí no Brasil. Não pôde ir, um probleminha de visto, coisa simples, resolvida graças ao satélite. Olá, Jack, boa tarde, muito obrigado.
Obrigado, Celso, thank you very much. And my regrets, my sincere regrets that I'm not there with you for the Congresso Publicidade. I wish I was in Sao Paulo, obviously, but thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my comments and my thoughts on the industry with you via satellite. And I'm looking forward to being there with you in person very soon. I wish I could, my Portuguese was better so that I could say this in person, but it is an honor to be with you today. And it is an honor to be sharing my thoughts on the industry and the challenges we face in our industry, in the media industry around the world globally for the next several years. Now, it may seem strange to share with you a thought on Las Vegas, as here I am in New York, there you are in Sao Paulo, but I think Las Vegas is an appropriate context for some of the ideas and thoughts that I'd like to share with you today. Now, many of you who have been to Las Vegas may not be aware that there's a railroad track running right behind the Strip. Here you have Caesar's Palace, Mirage, The Wynn, Circus, and a railroad track moves right through behind the Strip in Las Vegas. Now, many years ago, Las Vegas was just a point in the desert for a railroad depot, a point moving goods and services through the desert across the country. Many ways advertising and media started in the same way, with goods and services, with entertainment, with news, with information being moved from point to point. And then advertising as gambling rose up in Las Vegas to help spur the economy and support the economy there as people had the vision for an opportunity for commerce. Gambling sprung up around the railroad depot, and small our version, Las Vegas version of media companies and advertising agencies grew up. Here it was casinos and entertainment. As Las Vegas grew and expanded and began to fragment, the casinos needed to introduce new ideas, new ways of doing business, new ways to attract consumers, new ways to attract commerce beyond gambling. The core business no longer was enough as it fragmented. They had to create New York, and the Bellagio, and the Venetian, and the Paris. New ideas, new ways of doing business. They had to offer great food. They had to offer great retail, art galleries, many other ways of doing business. And in many ways, Las Vegas represents where we are today in the media and advertising business. A media and advertising business that began the modern era with the automobile assembly line and the creation of mass production. Well, after 100 years, mass production moved on to mass merchandising. And then with the introduction of television, mass media and mass marketing. And all of the foundations of our business, our great advertising and media business, still rest on those same basic principles of the assembly line production, moving from goods and services, entertainment, information, news, from point to point. And now, just like Las Vegas, we need to create new ways of doing business as the world fragments, as the industry fragments, and as new business models become necessary in order to maintain the economy that's grown up over 100 years. We still rely in our business on the fundamental business models that were created in the 1950s around the television industry. And I'll talk a bit with you today about the issues that we face here in the United States and that you face there in Brazil as technology spurs many changes to the core business models that we've come to rely on and know on and depend on. Now, my friends Alberto and Eduardo provided me with information that the Brazilian Association of Publicity Agencies is debating today, and I congratulate you on hosting this debate. I wish I was there personally to be with you for the debate, but it is an extremely important debate. To be for integration of multiple communication points to be efficiently put into practice, focusing on people. People make integrated communications happen. Brand movement depends upon human capital, and people only make things happen with results when they are supported by training, by compensation, and by performance evaluation. Now, this is a fundamental core issue for the industry, and I applaud you for this debate. I applaud you for facing the future as the United States in the past several years has failed to address the future, has failed to recognize the implications of an internet distribution now in the United States at 70%, where it's heading to in Brazil. For interactive television to be at the end of 2009 in nearly 50 to 60% of US homes. Issues that we're just beginning to grapple with many years too late. And it's time for Brazil to grasp this opportunity and to lead not only in your own country, but globally a movement toward integrated communications and toward a focus on people. And I applaud that. People are, in fact, the core to the future. People are the industry. People are the opportunity. And people, at the core, operate as organizations, as groups, as relationships. And relationships clearly in our business, in our world, in our personal lives, in all aspects of society, relationships are changing. And nowhere are they changing more rapidly than in media and advertising because of the drive in technology. Now, 3 quick points that I'll make before I share with you some of my observations. And one, that the foundation of integrated communications and of relationships is brand equity. And brand equity is not just the brand equity of marketers and their relationships with consumers, but brand equity can be organizational brand equity. Each of you as individuals can have brand equity that's established. Agencies, publicity agencies, media companies, sales organizations can all have their own brand equity. And the core attributes of brand equity are differentiation and relevance. Differentiation and relevance effectively communicated and consistently fulfilled. And isn't, of course, that the foundation and the basis of publicity? Now, I've been reporting on, writing about, speaking about, studying relationships for nearly 3 decades, since my days with CBS television as a consultant for more than 200 companies, including many publicity agencies, media companies, and marketers. And I even wrote a book, Reconnecting with Customers, Building Brands and Profits in the Relationship Age, a decade ago, focused on the importance and the changing models of relationships in our industry. So as I've studied these relationships, there are 2 key business models that I've recognized dating back to the 1950s when television was first introduced in our industry. Pricing-based transaction models being first. A marketplace based on cost per thousand, on gross rating points, on impressions, on pages, circulation, a quantitative measure of eyeballs reached, of audience reached, of the frequency with which you are reaching those audience. It's a supply-demand commodity marketplace. And the second marketplace we all operate in are premium brand innovation and creativity-based integrated marketing relationships, integrated communications relationships. And I should say that marketing to me is more than just multiple communications points. Integrated marketing, integrated communications also includes the integration of consumer sales promotion, of trade promotion, of events, of cause-related, public affairs, public relations, all the communication points that take place between a marketer and a consumer are included in the integrated communications formula. Now, In the history of advertising and media, the vast majority, well over 90% of all budgets, are committed to this first model, the pricing-based transactional cost per thousand, rating point circulation-based model. And a very small percentage is focused on the premium brand innovation, creativity-based business model. And this is the core of our conversation today, the changes taking place between the traditional models and the premium-based business models. Between those first few casinos or media companies and agencies that were set up in the very early days of the industry and have spurred the commerce and spurred our industry versus those new business models, those high-rise business models that feature new ways of doing business, of attracting audiences, of attracting advertisers. Now, for the last 50 years, we've had a very, very successful run in our business. We have a business model in that transactional supply-demand commodity business where we've had a constantly increasing supply of media inventory, and at the same time, we have had sufficient increasing demand to allow prices to constantly be raised, to constantly grow our revenues by raising our prices even as supply has increased. And we've had the wonderful good opportunity of really not having marketers demanding all that much information about whether or not it's producing sales. We know media works. We know it produces sales. But yet, media, advertising, publicity has not required those return on investment measures that other types of communications, other types of business models have been performing. But in around 2004, that began to change when A.G. Lafley, chairman of Procter & Gamble, made his very famous speech saying, we need to reinvent the way we market to consumers. We need a new model. It doesn't exist today, and no one else has one yet, but we need to get going now. Well, here we are in the United States 4 or 5 years after Mr. Lafley gave his important presentation, and we're still struggling to find those new models. We have the major agency holding companies, WPP, Interpublic Group, Omnicom, Publicis, all struggling to find new business models that can replace the low commission, low profit media buying and planning component of their business that's been the core of their media agencies, and the creative components that have spurred through the production of expensive commercials and pages in magazines, ads, new business models around the creative agency. In the United States, of course, we have the unbundling of media, which was very important to help spur the profitability of the media agencies and the creation of new media models. Now, of course, those agencies are beginning to invest in media properties. They're beginning to invest in programming and content and new types of business. And the creative components of the agency are looking for new models that embrace technology, that use technology. And of course, they're exploring how their relationships between the creative components, the media components, and the other parts of their businesses come together, are integrated, and they're struggling with those challenges now. As they've unbundled and separated them all, it's now a major challenge to try to find ways to reintegrate them, and that's a core part of the issue. And we do have the fundamental blocking and tackling cost per thousand basics in our business continuing to be important, but we are on the cusp of change in America. And as Kevin Roberts, global chairman of Saatchi & Saatchi, says, for all the furor about convergence and new technologies and opportunities, we need to converge on one idea, making emotional connections with people. So emotional connections are becoming as important in the context of our industry as the media connection of that train track, of those media properties that move messages across technology through to people. So going forward in our industry, moving away from that last 50 years, we have some new dynamics taking place. Number one, for the first time in our history in the United States, and increasingly in Brazil as technology becomes more impactful there, media supply will be exceeding demand for the first time. It is currently exceeding demand, and as a result, pricing is going down. There's a drive toward reduced pricing. There's a downward pressure on costs. There are intense investor demands, and media companies and agencies are failing to meet the investor demands, and stock prices are flat. And this is a major problem going forward for the industry. And marketers are also, for the first time, demanding detailed insights on effectiveness and return on investment. So in that context, if I may, please allow me to share some thoughts and ideas about this shift that we are in the midst of, this major shift from the traditional supply-demand transactional business models that we've had to more of the premium innovation, brand-focused, integrated communications models that we're moving toward for the future. Clearly, technology changes all the rules. Technology, though, erodes relationships. What you're gathered there to speak about today at the Congresso, relationships and people, technology is eroding. And this erosion is creating chaos in a business. And as technology, internet technology, interactive technology, mobile technology becomes more dominant in Brazil, this erosion, this chaos will become more critical. That's why it's so important that you're there today debating, speaking about developing strategies for the future. And in these highly competitive, chaotic markets, commodity models tend to accelerate. In fact, in commodity business models, prices tend toward free. So I ask you the question, what would happen if you took your most important business model, your primary revenue stream of advertising, media revenues, creative revenues, and suddenly you needed to give it away for free? How would you make money then? If suddenly your market tended toward free and you looked toward new business models, what would those business models be? Because those business models are what will drive your business forward for the future. In these chaotic environments, if you don't provide, if the large companies don't provide these services and capabilities, new competitors will. New competitors in the United States like Google and Microsoft, which is becoming a major media force, are dominating new markets, emerging markets, because the traditional companies failed to develop them themselves. They're developing new business models, and the traditional media companies are now struggling to catch up. Change creates opportunities for new relationships and new pockets of strategic clarity. Now, in these markets, both your traditional business models are important, as well as new business models are important. Strategic clarity, strategic differentiation is as important as maintaining the traditional models. And what matters most as you move forward in these chaotic times are valued relationships. But going back to my original point, technology is eroding relationships. So what values most is relationships, yet technology erodes relationships. What to do? And therein lies the core of your debate, what to do. So I'll propose to you that there are several core fundamental issues that you must debate and look at and study as you look at the importance of people and the importance of relationships. Every valued relationship has 4 basic component parts. Every valued relationship. You must deliver on promises. You must be responsive to the needs and interests of your customers, your consumers, your audiences, your clients. You must deliver measurable value. And you must provide a trusted relationship. So if you're a media company, a media seller, you must provide your advertisers with a trusted knowledge that you're delivering a great environment in which they can advertise. And if you're a publicity agency, you must deliver a trusted relationship that you're working in the best interests of your client and servicing their needs, and that you have a trusted relationship for them. Now, if you're a pricing-based business model, if your primary focus is price, all you have to really do is deliver the most efficient price. Whether you're a generic marketer or a retailer or an agency or a media seller, if all you're looking for is price, you deliver those 4 components of trusted environment, responsive to needs and audiences, value, and then you deliver pricing. But if you want to deliver new business models, then you have 5 other opportunities, core opportunities. First, you deliver audiences that are more emotionally engaged with your clients' products, more engaged audiences. Secondly, integrated, innovative, and non-traditional, creatively based opportunities. Third, interactivity and new media. Fourth, creativity, and creativity can be measured in many different ways. And 5, integrated organizations and a breakdown of the traditional silos that prevent the integration of media and the integration of marketing. So I'll share with you 7 issues for your company. First of all, I ask you to answer this one question. What percentage of your revenues today are pricing based, are negotiation, are commission, versus what percentage of your revenues would you consider to be non-traditional, premium, brand-based relationships? Now, most companies today in the media and advertising industry in the United States would suggest that it's between 85% traditional pricing-based and 10 to 15% premium non-traditional. Some companies, much less. Rarely is it more than 15%. So then question number 2, what percentage of your revenues are you targeting for 10 years from now to be pricing traditional, commission, fee, versus premium, profitable relationships? Where's your target 10 years from now? And let's say it's to be 60% premium and 40% pricing based. Well then, what percentage of your talent, your resources, your budgets are focused on those traditional commodity, supply and demand, cost per thousand based relationships, fee and commission based relationships, versus what percent of your budgets, your spending today, your resources, your talent are non-traditional, innovation, premium? Is there a balance? Are you investing enough to achieve your goals for 10 years from now? And if, in fact, you're looking to make those investments and make those changes, then how are you, in fact, differentiating your company and your talent today from the talent and focus and priorities of your competition? And do your clients, do your customers pay a premium for those services? Or are you giving them away? How are you pricing them? Do they recognize your brand strengths and your differentiation in the same way you do? And are they valuing you for those services and capabilities? What business model are you following to generate incremental revenues and profit growth beyond advertising? If your advertising and publicity fees and commissions were 0, what business models would you be following to generate profitable growth? And then, finally, how strong, in fact, are your relationships? How focused are your people, your talent, to the goals that you've set? How clear is your agenda? And how important is price to those relationships? If you were to increase your prices and add new services, would your clients, would your customers stay with you, or would they look for the lower price provider? So again, there are 4 fundamental issues that you're dealing with, that we're all dealing with in the media and advertising business today. Media and technology fragmentation, clearly number 1. and the focus on technology. Brand creativity, innovation, and integrated communications, performance measures, and organizational models and talents. These are the issues, the four fundamental issues that you're debating at the Congresso in Sao Paulo today. And these are the issues on which you need to focus, and which, again, I congratulate you for focusing well into the market changes that are taking place. And there are obstacles that lie in the path to your success as you move into this debate and as you challenge the business models that you're dealing with today. First of all, many of you in business have been around for a very long time. We won't talk about how long. But you've heard the line before, and I'm not sure how to say it in Portuguese: the more things change, the more they stay the same. You've also heard what's past is prologue. There's nothing new under the sun. These are sayings that many of us in business have heard for years. And we've had the sense that as much as we've changed in our business over the years, as much as new media have been layered on top of old, as much as the business models appear to have changed, we continue to do business in a very unchanged way. And we've become very confident in our ability to grow our business even as the world around us changes. The changes taking place today in the media and advertising business no longer allow us to depend on things staying the same. The more things change, the more they change. And advertising revenues alone, which have been more than enough to drive our businesses forward for the last 50 years, are no longer enough. Investor focus, stock market, shareholder value, venture capitalists, equity funders are putting too much pressure on short-term revenue goals that don't allow our business to make the kinds of changes that we need to make for the long-term growth, stability, and viability of media and advertising. The quality of our human resources must be upgraded. We must focus on better education, better preparation, and a recognition that the traditional business models are no longer the foundation of our future growth. And finally, passionless relationships. Now, whether it's in your personal life or in your business life, passionless relationships are not healthy. And in business, in media and advertising, we have accepted for too long relationships that can move from one to the other company. Where the price goes up, someone goes to your competitor. We need passion in our industry. We need a belief in the value of the relationship, and we need to return passion to the advertising and media businesses. So here are 4 questions which you're dealing with today at the Congresso. Should you have a full-service or a specialized agency? And the answer is both. Full-service agencies that truly can integrate the models of marketing and communication will be the single most important growth vehicle for the advertising business in the future. Specialization will grow up, and it will focus on pricing, and specialized agencies will have a role to provide certain services, but they will be fragmented, and they will be price sensitive, and they will be focused on small premium pockets as well. But the challenge for the full service agency will be to use and integrate those capabilities. Multi-platform execution or silos? I think clearly multi-platform execution is the vision of the future, something I've believed in for 30 years. You need to have a central point of communication for the client that can bring together all the different silos, all the capabilities, and the power of decision making must be held in those multi-platform focus. Changing research models, what and how? And this is a huge issue. There are many forms of new performance measures that are being introduced in the business. The internet and interactivity is driving many new models: engagement, emotional connections, recall, creative measures where creative is going to be increasingly measured and the performance of creative in breaking through to audiences. Performance measures based on actual sales and return on investment. And finally, investor value and new ways of defining investor value beyond money, beyond the dollars that are generated this month or this quarter or this year. What are the capabilities and what is the return on investment beyond the dollar return on investment, the return on investment to society, cause-related initiatives? What do you as a company stand for? What do you as an executive stand for? And how do your investors value what you believe in and what you stand for and what you represent, not only to the generation of revenues, but to the generation of goodwill, the generation of value for the society, for the country, and for the world? What are you contributing to global warming solutions? What are you contributing to the reduction in poverty? What are you contributing to the improvement of the world attitude? These are the questions. These are the issues. And then fourth and finally, how can you develop talent? How can you develop better talent? And that brings me back to Las Vegas. Now, you wonder, what is the connection between Las Vegas and talent? What is the connection between Las Vegas and all of these issues? And I mentioned this train track that runs behind the Strip in Las Vegas. And I remind you that the anecdote about the railroad magnates in the beginning of the end of the 19th century, the beginning of the 20th century, that had a vision for America, and that had a vision for connecting up America and Brazil and different countries around the world through the train. And they believed they were in the business of transporting people, goods, and services. But there was also the question, when the airline came along to replace many of those business models, and the anecdote was, why didn't the railroad magnates realize that they were not in the railroad business, but they were in the transportation business? And as we look at our business today, we can ask the same question. What if those railroad magnates had moved into the airline business? Well, this is what an airline might look like today. Now, that's anecdotal, of course, but the fact is you cannot depend on past models. You cannot depend on talent that has grown up in the traditional business models to drive forward new, innovative, premium, brand-based business models. You need new, innovative talent. Talent coming in with fresh ideas, freshly trained. So even at the educational institutions where the next generation of executives will be trained, we need to have new ways of dealing with them. We need to have people schooled in new media, new marketing, new publicity models, integrated communication models, teaching and training these executives, and therein lies the challenge. So how can we develop talent? We can develop talent by not relying, not depending on the past ways, the past business models to train our future generations of executives to do business. Otherwise, we get locked in to those same concepts of the railroad, those same concepts, and we build the new models in ways that are not appropriate to the new media and the new business opportunities. So I go back and I ask you again, what percentage of your business today is transactional based, is traditional? What percentage of your business is non-traditional? What percentage of your business in 10 years do you want to be in the traditional cost, transaction, fee, and commission-based business models? And what percentage do you want to be premium, brand-based, differentiated business models? And are you investing sufficiently to get there? And are you looking for new business models built around integrated communications, built around passion, built around marketing, promotion, built around cause-related, built around events, new ways of doing business to get you there? In the same way that in Las Vegas, they built up restaurants, they built up amusements, they built up art galleries, they built up entertainment in order to attract audiences beyond their core commerce fundamental business model of gambling. The analysis for our industry is that if you continue to depend on the traditional business models that are focused on what is your price, then it will be the same as allowing everyone who comes to Las Vegas to walk away a winner. You will drain the resources of the industry. They cannot look to you for price alone, for value, and even for sales alone. They must look at you and your business for the future, the growth, the opportunity in new categories, new areas of doing business, and there lies your future. It lies in the relationships that you build. And I ask you a question. Like we asked those railroad executives, what business are you in? And they said railroads instead of transportation. What business are you in? What business are you in? Are you in the media business? Are you in the publicity agency business? Are you in the advertising business, the marketing business? Well, I would propose to you that you're in the relationship business. And how you value your relationships, how you differentiate your relationships, how you create relevance for your clients and customers and audiences around the relationship that they have with you, and that you can in turn market to your clients. That is the critical question. So again, I applaud you today for your Congresso de Publicidade. I wish you great success. Obrigado. And I look forward to seeing you in person in Sao Paulo very soon. Celso, thank you very much.
Jack, thank you very much. Esse foi Jack Meyers conversando via TV Record com vocês no 4º Congresso Brasileiro de Publicidade. Portanto, tenham agora um bom debate, um ótimo congresso. Eduardo, é com você.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
My pleasure.
Okay?